Before we begin, pause just for a moment. Stop scrolling, stop moving. Because what I'm about to share with you isn't a quick fix scheme or another hollow promise. This is about something far more powerful. Something that's been operating in your life whether you knew it or not. Right now, as you listen to these words, your subconscious mind is listening. It's always listening. Every word you speak, every thought you repeat, every affirmation you make, they're all sending signals into the universe. They're casting electromagnetic frequencies that either attract abundance or repel it. Here's the hidden truth nobody talks about. You're already affirming something. Every single second of every single day, your words are either building wealth or building lack. Most people, they're affirming poverty without even realizing it. Today, that ends for you. Are you ready to change the signal you're sending? Stay with me because the next sentence I reveal will be the most powerful tool you've ever used for attracting money. Section 1, the sentence that changes everything. I'm going to give you something right now, not a theory, not a philosophy, a sentence. One sentence that rewires your financial frequency at the deepest level. Are you ready? Here it is. Money flows to me quickly, easily, and consistently. That's it. That's the sentence. But before you dismiss it, before your logical mind jumps in and says, it can't be this simple, let me break down what's actually happening when you repeat these words. This isn't magic in the fantasy sense. This is the law of assumption, combined with neurological rewiring. This is how your brain actually works. Every word in this sentence has been deliberately chosen for its energetic resonance and neurological impact. Let's break it down. Money. This immediately grounds your focus. Your brain stops processing scarcity and starts processing flow. The word itself signals wealth recognition to your reticular activation system. Flows. Not comes, not appears, but flows. Flow implies continuous movement, natural progression, ease. Your nervous system hears flow and begins to relax. When you're relaxed, you're in an attract mode instead of a chase mode. To me, this is personal, this is specific. You're not talking about money in general. You're claiming it for yourself. Your subconscious takes to me as a direct instruction. This is for you, not someone else. Quickly, this accelerates the timeline in your mind. Your brain begins scanning for fast opportunities, quick wins, rapid solutions. It stops accepting slow, struggling timelines easily. This removes resistance. So many people believe money should be hard, that struggle is noble. This word demolishes that poverty programming. Easy money is flowing money, consistently. This is about sustainability. This word prevents the boom and bust cycle. It tells your subconscious this isn't a one-time win. This is your new normal. This is the baseline you're establishing. Together, These words create a complete financial narrative that your brain accepts as truth when repeated with conviction. This is why most money affirmations fail. They're incomplete. They don't address all the barriers your mind has built. But this sentence, it covers every angle. But here's what happens next. Your subconscious is going to fight back. And I'm going to show you exactly why and how to overcome it. Section 2. Why your mind will resist it. Let me tell you something most people won't admit. When you first start repeating this sentence, you're going to feel resistance. You might feel silly. You might feel like you're lying to yourself. You might hear a voice inside your head that says, this won't work. Be realistic. That voice, that's not you. That's your programming. Every single person on this planet carries what I call a poverty imprint. Where does it come from? Childhood, observation, family stories, cultural beliefs passed down through generations, things you heard adults say about money, beliefs about struggle, narratives about who deserves wealth and who doesn't. Maybe you grew up hearing money doesn't grow on trees. Maybe you witnessed financial stress in your household. Maybe you picked up the belief that wealthy people are selfish, or that spiritual people should live humbly, or that you need to suffer to earn respect. These aren't your beliefs. They're inherited programs running in the background of your consciousness. And here's the problem. That poverty imprint doesn't want to let go. It's been your identity. It's been your protection. It's been your explanation for why certain things haven't happened yet. Your subconscious mind is actually comfortable with struggle because struggle is familiar. When you start affirming money flows to me quickly, easily, and consistently, you're directly threatening that programming. Your mind will try to protect itself. It will generate doubt. It will generate fear. It will whisper objections. But you don't deserve this. But this is unrealistic. But the economy is bad right now. But you're not special. But other people won't like you if you have money. All of these are resistance signals and they're completely normal. But here's what's crucial. You don't need to believe the sentence. You don't need to feel it. You just need to repeat it anyway. Repetition is more powerful than belief. Your brain doesn't care whether your conscious mind agrees. Your brain cares about pattern installation. When you repeat something 100 times, 500 times, 1,000 times, your brain eventually accepts it as true because that's how pattern recognition works. This is exactly how your poverty programming was installed in the first place. It wasn't installed through logic. It was installed through repetition, through hearing certain narratives over and over and over until they became your truth. The good news, you can install a new program the same way. And every time you feel that resistance, that's actually a sign, we're breaking through something real. That's you overriding an old program. That's progress. Now, science validates everything I'm saying. And the mechanism is so powerful that once you understand it, you'll never doubt this again. Barney section 3, the science behind it. Let's talk about the neuroscience that actually makes this work. There's a part of your brain called the reticular activation system. Let me explain what this does because this is where the magic actually lives. Your brain receives millions of pieces of information every single second. Light, sound, temperature, sensations, thoughts, millions, but your conscious mind can only process about 126 bits of information per second. So your brain has created a filtering system. It prioritizes what you see based on what you're focused on, what you believe is important, and what you've told it to look for. This is the reticular activation system in action. Have you ever noticed that when you buy a car, suddenly you see that same car everywhere? You didn't suddenly see more of them. You installed a filter in your eyes. You told your brain, this car is important to me, and your brain started highlighting it. The same principle applies to money. When you repeat, money flows to me quickly, easily, and consistently, you're literally programming your eyes to start filtering for financial opportunities. Your brain begins scanning your environment for ways to make money, for discounts, for gifts, for opportunities, for ideas, for connections. But that's not all that happens. There's also something called neural pathway formation. Here's how it works. Every time you repeat the sentence, you're firing specific neurons in your brain. Those neurons send chemical signals across synapses to other neurons. This is literally a physical process in your brain, not metaphorical. Neurons that fire together wire together. So, here's the sequence. Repetition. Your mouth speaks the words. The vibrations reach your ears. The sounds are processed by your brain. You repeat the neural firing pattern. Integration. The more you repeat, the stronger the neural pathway becomes. It's like walking the same path through the forest. The first time takes effort, but by the 100th time, it's a clear trail. Expectation. A strong neural pathway creates expectation. Your brain begins operating as if this sentence is true. It begins predicting financial abundance. It begins positioning you toward opportunities. Attraction. This is where it gets interesting. When your brain expects something, your behavior changes. You notice opportunities you would have overlooked. You take action you wouldn't have taken. You attract different people and circumstances because you're operating from a different frequency. You're projecting different energy. Result: the physical manifestation begins. The opportunity you noticed leads somewhere. The person you attracted opens a door. The idea that popped into your head becomes profitable. The discount Teas and gifts start appearing. But here's what amplifies this entire process exponentially: emotion. Science shows that emotionally charged experiences create stronger neural pathways than neutral experiences. When you repeat this sentence with feeling, with conviction, with genuine belief, even if that belief is fragile at first, you're supercharging the neural pathway. This is why saying it like you don't believe it is still effective. But saying it with emotion and conviction is exponentially more effective. Neuroscientist Dr. Joe Dispenza has documented through brain imaging that when people repeat affirmations with emotional engagement, their brainwave patterns actually shift. Brain coherence increases. They enter a state where the subconscious is more receptive to new programming. So when you repeat this sentence, you're not being wishful, you're not being delusional, you're activating a proven neurological mechanism that literally rewires your brain's filtering system and your behavioral patterns. The universe isn't magical. Your brain is. And you've been using it against yourself. Now that you understand how it works, let me show you exactly how to do it for maximum results, because technique matters. Section 4. How to repeat it for maximum results. Here's where most people fail. They understand the concept, they feel motivated, and then they do it randomly. And randomness produces random results. If you want this to work at maximum capacity, you need a system. You need consistency. You need intentional application. There are 3 primary methods to integrate this sentence into your life. Method 1, the morning method. This is the most powerful time to reprogram your subconscious. Here's exactly what to do. The moment you wake up, before you touch your phone, before you check email, before you drink coffee, before you do anything, sit up in bed or stand up and repeat this sentence out loud 10 times. Money flows to me quickly, easily, and consistently. Why the morning? Because your brain is transitioning from sleep to waking consciousness. Your logical, analytical mind hasn't fully kicked in yet. Your subconscious is still dominant and highly receptive. This is called hypnagogic state. It's the ideal time to plant seeds. Say it slowly, say it deliberately. Feel the words as you speak them. Imagine the feeling of money flowing to you. Not greed, not anxiety, just natural, easy flow. Like water flowing downstream, like a river naturally moving toward the ocean. That feeling, do this for 7 days straight, and you'll notice a shift in your energy before 700 p.m. on day 1. That's not placebo. That's your nervous system recalibrating. Method 2, the night method. Before you sleep, repeat the sentence 10 times until your mind feels calm. What happens during sleep? Your brain consolidates memories. It processes the day. It integrates new information into your long-term memory and belief systems. When you feed your brain this affirmation rig, HT before sleep, it gets programmed into your subconscious during your sleep cycle. You're literally spending 8 hours with this sentence being integrated into your neural networks. This is why the night method is so powerful. You're doing the programming while your brain is in programming mode. Method 3, the triggered method. This is the emergency button. Anytime you feel fear, anytime you see a bill, anytime lack shows up in your awareness, anytime doubt creeps in, repeat the sentence immediately. Someone sends you bad news, repeat it 5 times. You check your bank account and feel anxiety, repeat it 5 times. You have a moment of fear about money, repeat it 5 times. This interrupts the fear pattern. It interrupts the poverty signal you're about to emit. Instead of spiraling down into fear, you're consciously choosing to send a wealth signal instead. This is powerful because you're not trying to deny the fear. You're acknowledging the trigger and then deliberately redirecting your frequency. This is mastery of your own mind. Now, here's the crucial part that most people get wrong. The energy rule. When you repeat this sentence, you must say it like it's already true, not like you're hoping it becomes true, not like you're wishing, like it's your current reality. The difference is subtle, but it's everything. If you say it desperately, like, please money, come to me, You're sending a signal of desperation. You're sending the frequency of lack. You're vibrating at the frequency of I don't have this yet and I'm anxious about it. Your subconscious hears this and it reinforces the lack. But if you say it calmly, confidently, like money flows to me quickly, easily and consistently, is just a statement of fact about your life. The same way you'd say, I breathe oxygen, or the sun will rise tomorrow. Then you're sending the frequency of certainty. You're vibrating at the frequency of this is how my life operates now. Tone matters. Energy matters. Conviction matters. So practice this. Say the sentence in a tone that suggests it's already happening. Relaxed, confident, natural, matter of fact. Like you're reminding yourself of something you already know is true. The next part is crucial. Most people quit too early because they don't know what to expect. Let me show you exactly what happens after day 1. Section 5. What to expect after day 1. Here's what most people don't realize. Transformation doesn't usually announce itself with trumpet fanfares. The external world doesn't wait until you've perfectly developed your belief before it starts responding. It starts responding immediately. But the signs are often so subtle that people miss them if they're not paying attention. After day 1 of consistent repetition, here's what typically begins to happen. The subtle shifts. Small things start to appear. And I'm saying appear because the universe finds interesting ways to deliver. You might get a random text from someone asking about anything you've been thinking about doing for money. You might see a discount code for something you were going to buy. You might find cash in a jacket pocket you haven't worn in months. You might get a refund you didn't expect. Someone might randomly buy you coffee. A random person might mention an opportunity. These are small. They're so small that your logical mind might say that's just coincidence, but it's not. It's signal confirmation. It's the universe saying, I received your order, processing is underway. These small wins are proof of concept. They're testing whether you'll stay consistent when the results are small. They're testing whether your belief is strong enough to hold even when the big breakthrough hasn't happened yet. This is crucial. Most people fail right here. They get these small signs, and instead of recognizing them as confirmation, they dismiss them as coincidence. They interpret them as nothing is really working. And the moment they doubt, they stop vibrating at that frequency. Don't do this. Welcome the small signs. Acknowledge them. Thank them. Every small win is a signal that your frequency is rising. The universe tests your belief. Here's something nobody talks about. The universe or your subconscious or whatever mechanism you believe in actually tests your commitment. After a few days, something might show up that tests whether you really believe this. You might face a financial challenge. You might see news about economic problems. You might have a conversation that triggers old fears. This isn't the universe punishing you. This is the universe qualifying you. It's asking, are you really ready for this? Or was this just a temporary motivation? Your job is to stay consistent. Keep repeating the sentence. Don't negotiate with fear. Don't let doubt take over. This is actually the moment where real transformation happens because you're reproving to your subconscious that you're serious about this new belief. Signs your frequency is rising as you continue beyond day 1. Here are the signs you're actually shifting. Unexpected confidence. You start feeling more secure about your financial future without any logical reason. You were worried last month, but now you have a sense of calm knowing that money is coming. This is your frequency shifting calmness about money. Money anxiety starts to dissolve. You're not obsessing about bills or lack, you're just calmer. This is huge because it means you've genuinely changed your emotional frequency. Sudden ideas. You start getting ideas for how to make money. Ideas that feel exciting instead of desperate. Business ideas, side projects, creative solutions. Your RS is now filtering for opportunities, unexpected money. This one speaks for itself. It starts arriving through channels you didn't expect. A check comes in. A job offer arrives. Someone pays you for something. Discounts multiply. People treat you differently. And here's the fascinating part. People actually begin treating you differently. You're vibrating at a different frequency, and people unconsciously respond to that. Opportunities flow your way. People want to help you. Doors open. All of these signs are proof that your internal reprogramming is creating external reality shifts. Stay alert for these signs. Document them. They're your progress markers. But here's the secret. Nobody talks about the real power comes from the compound effect, and it's exponential, not linear. Section 6, the compound effect. Let me explain something about how transformation actually works, because most people misunderstand this. They think wealth comes from one big event, one lucky break, one perfect opportunity. And sometimes it does. But most of the time, wealth is built through compound effects. The same principle that makes investments grow exponentially is the same principle that makes affirmations work exponentially. Here's how it functions. Day 1 out of 7. Initial frequency shift. You repeat the sentence consistently. Your neural pathways start forming. Your RAS begins filtering. Small signs appear. You're still mostly operating with your old belief system, but you're installing a new one in the background. This phase is about consistency, not results. Day 8, tune 14. Momentum building. Now the momentum starts. You've completed a week, and you're noticing actual changes. Your energy is different. People are responding to you differently. Small money is appearing. You're starting to genuinely believe this might actually work. Your excitement increases. This is where many people experience their first real win. Day 15 to 21, the tipping point, this is where the magic accelerates. By day 21, the neural pathway is deeply established. Your subconscious has accepted this as a new truth. Your RS is now automatically filtering for wealth signals. Your frequency has genuinely shifted, and something crucial happens at this point. Money doesn't feel like chasing anymore. It feels like attraction. Opportunities don't feel forced. They feel natural. It starts feeling inevitable. And here's where the compound effect kicks in. Now, when opportunities arrive, you're actually positioned to receive them. Your mind isn't blocked. Your nervous system isn't in scarcity. You can take action without fear. You can think clearly about how to leverage opportunity. This is the moment where wealth stops being something you're trying to manifest and starts being something you're naturally attracting. The momentum phase. Once you hit this point, something shifts in your external world. And it's not mystical, it's practical. Money now finds you through ideas. You have a thought that becomes profitable. Money finds you through business. A project comes together effortlessly. Money finds you through alignment. You're positioned in the right place at the right time. Money finds you through synchronicity. The right person appears at the right moment. All of this is still the RAS and neural pathways at work. But now you're so aligned with the frequency of wealth that it feels like the universe is conspiring in your favor. And technically it is, because your consciousness is now organizing events and coincidences and synchronicities in service of that belief. The universe, or your subconscious, always arranges itself to match your internal programming. Why the compound effect is exponential. This is crucial to understand. Repetition, one small effect. Your conscious mind barely registers a change. Repetition, 11 tier 50 moderate effect. Small shifts begin to appear in your behavior and thinking. Repetition, 51 100 significant effect. People around you notice you're different. Your energy has genuinely shifted. Repetition, 100 1500 major effect. Your life starts producing evidence of the new belief. Money appears. Repetition, 50,100 exponential effect. It becomes self-perpetuating. Success creates more success. Confidence creates more confidence. Money attracts more money. This isn't linear. It's exponential, which means the benefits don't multiply by 2. They multiply by 10, then 100, then 1,000. The effortless phase. The ultimate goal is to reach what I call the effortless phase. This is when wealth becomes automatic. You don't have to think about it anymore. You don't have to repeat the affirmation as intensely. It's become your new operating system. It's how your brain now thinks. It's how you now vibrate. At this point, money flows naturally. You've changed the default setting of your life. You're no longer operating from a scarcity template. You're operating from an abundance template. And everything in your external world reorganizes to match this new internal setting. This is the compound effect at full velocity, and it never stops. It just keeps multiplying as long as you maintain the frequency. Once you've felt this transformation, once money starts flowing, it's time to upgrade to an even more powerful version. This is where real mastery begins. Section 7, upgrade the sentence after results begin. Here's something crucial that most people miss. Once the original affirmation has established itself and money starts flowing, there's a dangerous moment. You might think, okay, I've got this, I can stop now. Or you might think, this is good enough, I don't need more. But this is exactly where most people plateau. They reach a level of abundance and then they stop growing. They stop pushing. They become comfortable, and comfortable means you stop vibrating at the next frequency level. Real mastery is about evolution. It's about continuously upgrading your internal frequency to match the next level of wealth you want to attract. This is where the upgrade sentence comes in. I am a powerful money magnet and wealth responds to me immediately. Notice the differences from the original. The original was money flows to me quickly, easily, and consistently. The upgrade is I am a powerful money magnet and wealth responds to me immediately. Let's break down what's changed and why. I am clear throat versus money flows. This is moving from describing a flow to claiming an identity. You're not just describing money movement anymore. You're claiming who you are. This is identity level affirmation, which is exponentially more powerful. A powerful money magnet. This is no longer passive. You're not waiting. You're actively magnetic. You're drawing wealth to yourself through your presence, your energy, your frequency. This is next level confidence. And wealth responds to me. This is no longer about money flowing. It's about wealth actively responding to you. It's personalized. It's suggesting that wealth recognizes you. Wealth has intelligence and it's choosing you immediately. This removes any timeline. You're not asking for quickly or slowly. You're claiming instantaneous. This is the highest frequency version of timeline affirmation. Together, this sentence takes everything you've established with the original affirmation and amplifies it to the next level. When to upgrade? Upgrade. When you feel genuinely stable with the original sentence, when it no longer requires intense belief, when it feels like truth, money is consistently flowing. You're seeing regular evidence that the original affirmation is working. You feel ready to level up when you have internal signals that you're ready to access the next frequency. You're no longer doubting when doubt has been replaced with expectation. How to upgrade? Here's the process. For 21 days after results begin, continue with the original sentence to cement it as your new normal. Build the foundation strong. Then begin incorporating the upgrade sentence. You can do both. Morning. Original sentence 5 times, then upgrade sentence 5 times. Night original sentence 5 times, then upgrade sentence 5 times. Or if you feel ready, transition completely to the upgrade sentence. The original sentence becomes your foundation. The upgrade sentence becomes your acceleration. Further upgrades as you continue, you can create even more powerful versions. I am magnetic to unprecedented wealth, and it flows to me in infinite ways. Abundance magnetizes toward me constantly, and I receive it with ease and joy. I am a wealth attractor, and my financial expansion is guaranteed. Each upgrade should reflect your evolving frequency. Each one should feel like you're claiming more power, more identity, more inevitability. But this is important. Don't keep upgrading just for the sake of upgrading. Wait until you feel genuinely ready. Wait until the previous version has settled into your bones. Wait until it feels like truth, not aspiration. When you upgrade from truth, your new affirmation lands as truth immediately. When you upgrade from hope, you're starting over again. Make the distinction. Now it's time for the final part. The part where you actually commit, because knowing is not enough. Action is what creates reality. Everything I've shared with you, every technique, every science, every principle, none of it matters if you don't actually do it. Knowledge without action is just information. And information doesn't change your life. Only action changes your life. So, here's what I'm going to ask you to do. The 21-day commitment. Repeat the sentence. Money flows to me quickly, easily, and consistently every single day for 21 days straight. Not sometimes, not when you remember, every day. Morning, before you touch your phone, repeat it 10 times with intention. Night, before you sleep, repeat it 10 times with calm. Triggered, anytime you feel fear or doubt, repeat it 5 times. That's it. That's the entire commitment. 21 days. Some of you have spent more time scrolling on social media than it would take to complete this challenge. You've spent more time complaining about your money situation than it would take to reprogram your money situation. 21 days is nothing. 21 days is the moment where your life pivots. The rules, don't skip, not once. If you miss a day, you restart. This isn't punishment. This is how programming works. Consistent pattern installation requires consistent repetition. One broken pattern resets the timeline. Don't doubt. I know doubt will come. I know fear will show up. Repeat the sentence anyway. Your job isn't to believe. Your job is to repeat. The belief will install itself through repetition. Don't negotiate with fear. When your mind says this is too good to be true, repeat the sentence. When your mind says money is hard for people like you, repeat the sentence. Don't argue with fear. Don't try to convince yourself. Just repeat and redirect. Say it like it's true, not desperately, not as a wish, as a statement of your current reality. With calm conviction, with settled knowing, document the signs. Keep a journal. Write down every small win, every unexpected money appearance, every opportunity, every shift in your energy. By day 21, you'll have evidence that this works. What will happen by day 7? Your energy will shift noticeably. You'll feel calmer about money. Small signs will appear. By day 14, money will start flowing in actual tangible ways. You'll experience your first real win. You'll be genuinely excited. By day 21, your entire relationship with money will have transformed. You won't even recognize the person you were 21 days ago. And more importantly, your external circumstances will have begun to reorganize to match your new internal frequency. This isn't a promise. This is a guarantee based on how your brain, your nervous system, and your reality actually work. The transformation awaits. Right now, your external world is a perfect match for your current internal programming. Every piece of your financial reality is a reflection of your internal beliefs about money. For the next 21 days, you're going to deliberately reprogram that internal system. And when you do, the external world has no choice but to reorganize. It will rearrange itself to match your new internal frequency. Your circumstances will shift. Your opportunities will shift. Your luck will shift. Not because magic happens, but because you've changed the signal you're sending. And the universe always responds to your signal. Your only choice. Now you have 2 choices. Choice 1, you leave this video the same way you arrived. You carry the same beliefs. You vibrate at the same frequency. You attract the same results. 6 months from now, nothing changes. You're still wondering why money is hard, why opportunities are scarce, why life feels like a struggle. Choice 2, you commit right now. You say this sentence starting today. You repeat it every single day for 21 days. You reprogram your financial frequency and you watch as your external world begins to reorganize. You begin to attract opportunities. Money begins to flow. Your life begins to transform. Which choice are you going to make? The answer is in your hands starting right now. Begin today. Repeat this sentence. Money flows to me quickly, easily, and consistently. Say it out loud. Feel it. Mean it. believe it, and most importantly, commit to it for the next 21 days. Your new financial reality is waiting. It's time to activate it. This is not a wish. This is not hope. This is a commitment to yourself. And when you make that commitment, the universe makes a commitment back to you. 21 days. That's all I'm asking. Transform your internal frequency and watch your external reality reorganize itself around this new version of you. The money is already there. You're just changing the frequency that allows you to receive it. Now go start today. Money flows to me quickly, easily, and consistently. Listen carefully. Some of you are one moment away from a financial shift that logic cannot explain. Not next year, not next month, tonight. If you dismiss this, you may miss what was already moving toward you, because there is a reason you are hearing this now. And there is a reason this prayer must be listened to 3 times, not once, not casually, but with intention. Right now, pause whatever you are doing and give me your full attention. Money responds to alignment, not anxiety. Breakthrough responds to faith, not force. Many people pray, but few know how to position their spirit to receive. This moment is not about chasing money. It is about allowing provision to find you. You may have worked hard and still seen doors close. You may have prayed before and felt nothing change. But repetition in prayer is not begging. It is agreement. Each time you listen, fear weakens. Each time you listen, doubt loosens its grip. Each time you listen, your spirit comes into harmony with abundance that already exists, but has not yet manifested. There are financial miracles that do not come through salary or effort. They come through favor, through ideas, through sudden help, through unexpected release. But these things require an inner readiness, a calm confidence, a believing heart. That is why listening matters. Faith enters through hearing, and hearing again deepens what was planted. When you listen the first time, your mind is still noisy. When you listen the second time, your heart begins to settle. When you listen the third time, something shifts inside you. Worry gives way to trust. Pressure gives way to peace. And peace is the environment where miracles are born. You are not trying to convince heaven. Heaven is ready. What must change is your expectation. Stop saying, I hope something happens. Begin to declare, I am ready to receive. Gratitude, even before the miracle, is a powerful signal. It says, I trust what I cannot yet see. And trust always attracts provision. Do not measure this moment by emotion. Measure it by obedience. Simply listen, simply believe, simply allow. There are resources assigned to you that are looking for permission to enter your life. This prayer is not magic. It is alignment. If you feel even a small sense of hope rising right now, stay with this message and listen to the full prayer without distraction. And if this speaks to you, make sure you return to it and listen again, because consistency is what turns faith into manifestation. As you listen, let go of the past failures. Let go of the missed chances. Provision does not come from yesterday, it comes from now. And now is the moment where your expectation meets divine supply. Stay open, stay believing, stay listening. Faith is not a static belief that appears fully formed the moment a person decides to pray. It is a living force that grows through exposure, repetition, and attention. When repeated words of prayer are heard again and again, they begin to move past the surface level of the mind and settle into the inner core, where decisions, expectations, and confidence are formed. Hearing is not passive in the spiritual sense. It is an act of receiving. Each time the same prayer is heard, resistance weakens, internal arguments quiet down, and the heart becomes more receptive to possibility. Many people think faith is produced by effort, but in reality, it is activated by agreement. And agreement comes when the inner voice starts echoing what is being heard. Repeated hearing creates familiarity, and familiarity removes fear. When a person listens to words of prayer once, the mind often responds with doubt, analysis, or comparison with past disappointments. But when those same words are heard again, The mind becomes less defensive. The emotional body begins to relax, and the spirit starts to recognize truth beyond circumstances. This is why repetition is powerful. It is not about forcing belief. It is about allowing belief to form naturally as the words sink deeper with each exposure. Words carry direction. When prayer is spoken aloud and then heard, it gives the listener something to align with. The human mind is constantly listening to something, whether it is fear, lack, memory, or expectation. Repeated prayer replaces unconscious negative dialogue with intentional faith language. Over time, the inner conversation changes. Instead of repeating thoughts of scarcity or delay, the listener begins to internalize words of trust, provision, and openness. This internal shift is where faith becomes active rather than theoretical. Hearing repeated prayer also builds emotional certainty. Faith is not only intellectual agreement, it is emotional permission to believe that something good can happen without knowing how. As the same prayer is heard multiple times, emotional barriers soften. Old disappointments lose their emotional charge. The listener no longer reacts with skepticism, but with calm anticipation. Anticipation is a sign that faith is awakening because expectation is faith in motion. There is also a rhythm created through repetition. Just as music becomes more powerful when its rhythm is recognized, prayer becomes more effective when the listener enters its flow. This rhythm trains the heart to remain focused instead of scattered. Focused attention strengthens belief, and belief gives direction to faith. When prayer is heard repeatedly, it creates a steady inner atmosphere where trust can grow without interruption. Faith activated through hearing does not depend on external evidence. It grows before. Circumstances change, not after. This is why repeated listening matters more than immediate results. Each time the prayer is heard, the listener is rehearsing trust instead of fear. The nervous system calms, the imagination opens, and the heart becomes willing to receive what once felt impossible. Faith begins to feel normal rather than forced. Another important aspect is that repeated hearing bypasses resistance. The conscious mind may resist change, but the deeper self absorbs patterns through repetition. This is how beliefs are formed throughout life, and prayer works the same way. The repeated sound of hopeful, faithful words rewires expectation and reshapes what the listener considers possible. What once felt unrealistic begins to feel reachable, and what once felt distant begins to feel near. Faith becomes activated when hearing transforms from information into conviction. Conviction is not loud or dramatic. It is quiet confidence. It shows up as peace instead of urgency, patience instead of panic, and trust instead of striving. This is why listening multiple times is essential, because faith does not rush, it settles, it anchors, it stays present even when nothing external has changed yet. Expectation is not wishful thinking or emotional excitement. It is a deliberate inner posture that prepares a person to receive what they believe is possible. When expectation is present, the heart and mind move into agreement with outcome rather than uncertainty. This inner agreement quietly shapes the environment around a person, influencing decisions, reactions, and openness to opportunity. A spiritual atmosphere is not something distant or mystical. It is the condition of the inner world that determines how external possibilities are perceived and welcomed. When someone expects nothing, even provision can pass unnoticed. But when expectation is alive, awareness sharpens. The mind becomes alert to ideas, conversations, and opportunities that would otherwise be dismissed. Expectation does not force results, but it creates readiness. Readiness is essential because many breakthroughs arrive in subtle forms rather than dramatic events. A calm sense of expectancy allows a person to recognize help when it appears in unexpected ways. Expectation also affects emotional tone. Without it, prayer can feel heavy, desperate, or strained. With expectation, Prayer becomes calm and confident. This calmness signals trust, and trust stabilizes the inner world. When the heart is stable, fear loses its influence. And fear is often the greatest barrier to receiving. A fearful atmosphere repels possibilities, while an expectant atmosphere welcomes them. This is why expectation is often described as making room for what is hoped for. The atmosphere created by expectation influences behavior without conscious effort. A person who expects good is more likely to speak positively, act decisively, and remain patient under pressure. These behaviors are not forced. They flow naturally from inner belief. This alignment between belief and behavior creates coherence, and coherence strengthens faith. When inner and outer actions agree, doubt has little space to operate. Expectation also reshapes time perception. Instead of feeling rushed or delayed, the person begins to trust timing. This removes pressure and comparison. When pressure is removed, clarity increases. Many financial and personal breakthroughs require clear thinking and emotional balance. Expectation sustains both. It allows a person to wait without frustration and move without fear. This balance is essential for recognizing the right moment to act. Another important dimension of expectation is gratitude. True expectation is often accompanied by gratitude, even before results appear. Gratitude reinforces the belief that provision is already in motion. It sends a message to the inner world that lack is not the final reality. This inner message changes how the mind interprets challenges. Obstacles are no longer seen as signs of failure, but as part of a larger unfolding. This perspective maintains peace and keeps the atmosphere open rather than closed. Expectation is strengthened through repetition and focus. Each time hopeful thoughts are revisited, the atmosphere becomes more consistent. Inconsistency weakens expectation, while sustained attention stabilizes it. This is why repeated prayer or reflection is effective. It keeps the inner environment aligned with belief instead of allowing it to drift back into doubt. Over time, expectation becomes a natural state rather than a temporary feeling. An expectant atmosphere does not guarantee immediate results, but it guarantees readiness. Readiness ensures that when opportunity arrives, it is met with confidence rather than hesitation. Many opportunities are lost not because they were absent, but because the person was not prepared internally. Expectation solves this by keeping the heart open and responsive. When expectation fills the inner space, it changes how uncertainty is experienced. Uncertainty no longer feels threatening. It feels like anticipation. This shift transforms waiting into trust and hope into quiet confidence. The spiritual atmosphere formed by expectation is not loud or dramatic. It is steady, receptive, and grounded. In this atmosphere, faith breathes easily. Patience remains strong, and the path toward provision feels possible even before it becomes visible. Persistence in listening is not about repetition for its own sake, but about allowing time and consistency to bring the inner world in all alignment with what is being believed. When a person listens once, the message may be understood intellectually, but the heart often remains divided between hope and past experience. Continued listening gently resolves this inner conflict. Each repetition reduces internal resistance and strengthens coherence between thought, emotion, and belief. Alignment is not forced, it emerges naturally when the same truth is encountered repeatedly without pressure. Financial limitation is often reinforced by deeply rooted mental patterns formed through years of struggle, observation, and disappointment. These patterns do not dissolve instantly. Persistent listening introduces a new pattern that gradually replaces the old one. Instead of reacting automatically to fear or lack, the mind begins to respond with calm awareness. This shift is subtle but powerful because it changes how situations are interpreted. What once triggered anxiety begins to trigger reflection, and reflection creates space for wiser responses. Listening persistently also trains attention. In a distracted state, faith remains shallow because it is constantly interrupted by competing thoughts. When a person commits to listening regularly, attention becomes focused and stable. Focused attention strengthens belief because belief requires presence. When the mind is fully present, it absorbs meaning more deeply. This depth allows ideas of provision and possibility to settle into the subconscious where long-term behavior and expectation are shaped. Alignment with provision does not mean passively waiting for money to appear. It means being inwardly prepared to recognize and respond to opportunities without self-sabotage. Persistent listening builds this readiness by calming the nervous system and reducing emotional reactivity. When the inner state is calm, decisions are clearer. Clear decisions create momentum, and momentum attracts further opportunity. In this way, alignment becomes a bridge between inner belief and outer action. Another effect of persistent listening is the strengthening of patience. Impatience often blocks provision because it leads to rushed choices and reactive behavior. Repeated listening cultivates trust in process rather than urgency for outcome. Trust allows time for unseen factors to arrange themselves. Many breakthroughs require coordination beyond what is immediately visible. Patience keeps the heart open during this unseen phase, preventing discouragement from shutting down expectation. Persistence also deepens conviction. Conviction is different from hope because it remains steady even when external evidence is absent. This steadiness is formed through consistency, not intensity. Listening persistently keeps belief active without emotional exhaustion. Instead of emotional highs and lows, the person develops a quiet confidence that remains present regardless of circumstances. This consistency is what allows alignment to stabilize rather than fluctuate. Over time, persistent listening reshapes identity. Instead of seeing oneself as struggling or lacking, the listener begins to identify as someone who is supported, guided, and capable. Identity influences behavior more strongly than intention. When identity shifts, actions follow naturally. Opportunities are approached with confidence rather than hesitation. Conversations are entered with openness rather than defensiveness. These small behavioral changes accumulate and create tangible results. Persistent listening also dissolves inner contradiction. Often people say they believe in provision while simultaneously expecting disappointment. This contradiction creates tension. Consistent exposure to faith-centered listening resolves this tension by gradually harmonizing belief and expectation. When inner agreement is achieved, energy is no longer wasted on inner conflict. This clarity makes room for creative ideas, strategic think, and timely action. Alignment is the natural outcome of sustained exposure to a message that reinforces trust, openness, and possibility. It does not arrive suddenly, but it arrives steadily. Each listening session builds upon the last, strengthening internal structure and emotional balance. Over time, the listener becomes someone who not only believes in provision, but lives in a state that allows it to approach without resistance. Prayer works first on the inner world before it ever alters external conditions, because lasting change cannot occur without a shift in perception and understanding. When a person begins to pray, the most immediate transformation happens in the way they interpret their situation. Circumstances may look the same on the surface, but the meaning assigned to them starts to change. This change in meaning is crucial because human response is shaped not by events themselves, but by the interpretation of those events. Prayer quietly reshapes this interpretation. The mindset shaped by prayer moves from reaction to reflection. Instead of responding automatically with fear, frustration, or despair, the mind begins to pause. This pause creates space between stimulus and response. In that space, wisdom can emerge. A reflective mindset is able to see beyond the present difficulty and consider broader possibilities. This shift reduces emotional pressure and restores a sense of control even before any external change occurs. Prayer also brings emotional regulation. Many financial or personal struggles are intensified by anxiety and mental overload. When prayer becomes consistent, it soothes the nervous system and slows racing thoughts. Calmness restores clarity, and clarity improves decision-making. Decisions made from awareness tend to be more effective than those made from fear or urgency. In this way, prayer indirectly influences outcomes by improving the quality of choices made along the way. As mindset shifts, inner dialogue changes. Instead of repeating thoughts of lack, failure, or limitation, the mind begins to entertain thoughts of trust, guidance, and possibility. This new dialogue gradually replaces the old one. Repeated prayer reinforces this process by consistently introducing a higher perspective. Over time, the internal voice becomes more supportive and less critical. This supportive inner environment strengthens confidence and resilience. Prayer also fosters humility and openness. Humility is not weakness. It is the willingness to accept guidance and learn. When the mind is humble, it becomes teachable. Teachable minds adapt more easily to change and are more receptive to new ideas. Many breakthroughs come through learning something new or seeing something differently. Prayer prepares the mind for this by softening rigid beliefs and reducing resistance to unfamiliar paths. Another significant effect of prayer on mindset is the restoration of hope. Hope is not blind optimism. It is the belief that the future is not fixed by the present. When hope is restored, motivation returns. Motivation fuels action, and action opens pathways for change. Without hope, even opportunities that appear can be ignored or dismissed. Prayer keeps hope alive, ensuring that the mind remains engaged with the possibility of improvement. Prayer reshapes priorities as well. It shifts focus from immediate gratification to long-term stability and purpose. This realignment influences how resources are managed, how time is spent, and how effort is directed. A mind guided by prayer is more likely to act with patience and foresight rather than impulse. These qualities are essential for sustainable progress in any area of life. As the mindset continues to evolve, emotional resilience increases. Challenges no longer feel overwhelming because they are seen within a larger context. This resilience prevents discouragement from becoming defeat. Instead of giving up, the person becomes more adaptable and persistent. This persistence often makes the difference between stagnation and progress. Prayer does not eliminate challenges instantly, but it equips the mind to handle them differently. This difference changes everything. When perception shifts, responses improve. When responses improve, outcomes eventually follow. External change becomes possible because the inner foundation has been strengthened. The true power of prayer lies in this inner transformation, which quietly sets the stage for visible results to unfold naturally. Divine timing operates on alignment and readiness rather than emotional urgency, which is why consistency carries far more influence than desperation. Desperation is driven by fear of lack and pressure to escape discomfort. And while it is understandable, it creates inner turbulence. This turbulence clouds perception and narrows focus, making it difficult to recognize timing, direction, or opportunity. Consistency, on the other hand, reflects trust. It signals an inner steadiness that allows timing to unfold without resistance or force. When a person acts out of desperation, their actions are often reactive. They rush decisions, overlook details, and cling tightly to specific outcomes. This tight grip limits flexibility, and flexibility is essential for timing to work effectively. Divine timing often arrives through unexpected channels, subtle shifts, or gradual openings. A desperate mindset tends to reject these quieter movements because it is focused only on immediate relief. Consistency keeps the mind open and observant, allowing timing to re-feel itself naturally. Consistency demonstrates commitment without panic. Repeated prayer, steady belief, and ongoing trust show that A. Person is willing to stay engaged even when results are not immediate. This steady engagement builds internal stability. Stability allows patience, and patience creates space for coordination beyond what is visible. Many outcomes require multiple factors to align, including people, resources, and circumstances. Consistency respects this process, while desperation attempts to override it. Another key difference lies in emotional energy. Desperation drains energy quickly because it is fueled by stress and fear. Over time, this leads to exhaustion and discouragement. Consistency conserves energy because it is fueled by rhythm and routine rather than intensity. A person who moves consistently can sustain belief over long periods without burning out. This endurance is essential because timing often tests patience before revealing results. Consistency also builds credibility within the inner world. When the mind sees repeated action without emotional collapse, it begins to trust itself. This self-trust reduces anxiety and strengthens confidence. Confidence improves clarity, and clarity sharpens intuition. Many timely decisions depend on intuition, the quiet sense of knowing when to act and when to wait. Desperation drowns out this inner signal, while consistency amplifies it. Divine timing often unfolds progressively rather than instantly. Small shifts occur before large changes. Consistency allows a person to notice and respond to these small shifts. Desperation tends to ignore gradual progress because it is focused only on dramatic change. By honoring small movements, consistency aligns behavior with the unfolding process. Each small step reinforces trust and prepares the person for larger responsibility when it arrives. Consistency also reshapes expectations. Instead of demanding immediate results, the person begins to expect progress in stages. This expectation reduces disappointment and keeps motivation intact. Motivation sustained over time produces better outcomes than short bursts of intense effort. Timing favors those who remain engaged without emotional extremes. Another important aspect is that consistency creates rhythm. Rhythm stabilizes emotions and thoughts. In a rhythmic state, the mind becomes less reactive and more responsive. Responsiveness allows adaptation, which is crucial when timing requires a change of direction. Many opportunities appear disguised as adjustments rather than answers. A consistent mindset can recognize this. While a desperate one resists change, desperation often arises from the belief that time is running out. Consistency is rooted in the belief that time is working together with purpose. This belief changes how waiting is experienced. Waiting no longer feels like delay, but like preparation. Preparation strengthens capacity, ensuring that when the moment arrives, it can be handled wisely rather than wasted. Divine timing responds to the quiet confidence that says, progress is unfolding even when it cannot yet be measured. Consistency embodies this confidence through steady action, repeated trust, and emotional balance. It allows outcomes to arrive at the moment when readiness and opportunity meet without force, without strain, and without fear. Gratitude functions as a powerful internal accelerator because it shifts attention from what is missing to what is already present. And this shift changes how the mind and emotions interact with opportunity. When a person practices gratitude, the nervous system relaxes and the mind moves out of survival mode. In survival mode, thinking becomes narrow and defensive. Focus only on immediate problems. Gratitude expands PE reception. It allows the mind to see resources, skills, relationships, and possibilities that were previously overlooked. This expanded percept ion is essential for financial breakthroughs because opportunities often appear subtle before they become significant. Gratitude also stabilizes emotions. Financial stress often creates anxiety, impatience, and frustration, which interfere with clear judgment. When gratitude is present, emotional intensity softens. Calm replaces urgency, and calm improves decision. Better decisions lead to better outcomes, not because circumstances magically change, but because responses become wiser. Gratitude creates emotional balance, and balance allows a person to act rather than react. Another important effect of gratitude is that it reinforces trust. Gratitude is essentially an acknowledgement that provision has already existed in some form. This acknowledgement strengthens belief that future provision is possible as well. Trust grows naturally from this recognition. When trust grows, fear diminishes. Fear is one of the most common obstacles to financial progress because it leads to avoidance, procrastination, or impulsive choices. Gratitude weakens fear by reminding the mind that support has been present before and can appear again. Gratitude also reshapes self-perception. Instead of seeing oneself as deprived or unlucky, the grateful person begins to see themselves as supported and capable. This shift in identity affects behavior. A person who feels supported is more likely to take thoughtful risks, pursue opportunities, and engage confidently with others. Confidence attracts collaboration, guidance, and assistance. Many financial breakthroughs involve people, conversations, and connections. And gratitude creates an inner posture that welcomes these interactions. Practicing gratitude before results appear is especially powerful. Use it conditions the mind to expect positive outcomes. This expectation influences how challenges are interpreted. Obstacles are no longer seen as signs of failure, but as temporary conditions within a larger process. This perspective preserves motivation. Motivation sustained over time leads to persistence, and persistence often makes the difference between stagnation and progress. Gratitude also enhances focus. Instead of being scattered by worry, the mind becomes centered. Centered focus improves productivity and creativity. Creative thinking is a major source of financial advancement because it leads to new ideas, solutions, and approaches. Gratitude frees mental space by reducing obsessive concern over lack. In this mental space, insight can arise more easily. Another subtle effect of gratitude is that it improves patience. When appreciation is present, waiting does not feel empty. The present moment feels valuable rather than wasted. This reduces the emotional strain of delay. Reduced strain prevents burnout and discouragement. Many financial goals require sustained effort, and gratitude provides emotional nourishment that keeps effort consistent. Gratitude also influences communication. A grateful mindset naturally expresses appreciation, respect, and openness. This improves relationships. Strong relationships often lead to opportunities, support, and shared resources. People are more inclined to help, collaborate, or recommend someone who carries a positive and appreciative presence. Gratitude does not manipulate outcomes, but it creates an environment where cooperation flows more easily. Over time, gratitude becomes a habit rather than a practice. As a habit, it continually reinforces a sense of sufficiency rather than scarcity. This sense of sufficiency changes how money is managed, how opportunities are evaluated, and how risks are taken. Decisions made from sufficiency tend to be strategic rather than desperate. Strategy builds stability, and stability supports growth. Gratitude accelerates breakthroughs by forcing external change but by removing internal resistance. When resistance fades, movement becomes smoother. The mind becomes clear, emotions steady, and actions aligned. In this state, progress feels natural rather than strained, and financial advancement unfolds as a continuation of inner balance rather than a struggle against circumstances. Words spoken in faith are not empty sounds. They carry intention, direction, and alignment. When spoken consistently, they shape the inner world first, and from that inner shift, unseen help is invited into action. Faith-filled words differ from ordinary speech because they are rooted in trust rather than fear. Fear-based words focus on limitation, delay, and loss, while faith-based words focus on possibility, guidance, and provision. The difference between these two kinds of speech determines what the mind becomes open to receiving. Every person is constantly speaking either outwardly or inwardly. Inner speech is often more influential than spoken words because it repeats without interruption. When words of faith are spoken intentionally, they begin to replace unconscious, negative inner dialogue. Over time, this creates agreement between what is spoken aloud and what is believed internally. Agreement is powerful because conflict within the mind weakens focus and drains energy. When words and belief align, mental clarity increases and resistance decreases. Faith-filled words also set direction. They act like instructions given to the inner self. When someone speaks words of trust, expectation, and openness, the mind begins to look for evidence that supports those words. This does not mean ignoring reality. It means interpreting reality through a lens of possibility. Instead of defeat as perception changes, awareness sharpens, the person becomes more alert to ideas, opportunities, and connections that were previously overlooked. This heightened awareness often feels like help appearing at the right moment. Unseen help often works through subtle channels rather than dramatic events. It may appear as insight, timing, protection from poor decisions, or unexpected cooperation from others. Faith-filled words create an inner permission for these subtle forms of assistance to be recognized and accepted. When someone consistently speaks doubt or negativity, they may unknowingly reject help because it does not match their expectations. Faith-filled speech expands expectation, allowing help to be received in forms that do not look obvious at first. Another important aspect is emotional regulation. Words spoken in faith calm the emotional system. Calm emotions improve intuition. Intuition is often the bridge through which unseen help operates. It provides gentle guidance rather than loud commands. When emotions are overwhelmed by fear or urgency, intuitive signals are drowned out. Faith-filled words quiet this noise, making inner guidance easier to sense and trust. Words of faith also influence confidence. Confidence is not arrogance. It is the absence of inner opposition. When a person speaks words that affirm trust and provision, self-doubt weakens. Reduced self-doubt leads to decisive action. Decisive action attracts momentum, and momentum creates opportunities. Many forms of unseen help become visible only after the first step is taken. Faith-filled words support this step by reducing hesitation and second-guessing. There is also a relational dimension to faith-filled speech. The way a person speaks affects how others respond. Words that carry calm belief and gratitude invite cooperation rather than resistance. People are naturally drawn to clarity and confidence through conversations, recommendations, and shared ideas. Assistance often flows from unexpected sources. This assistance may appear natural, but it is often the result of an inner shift created by consistent faith-based speech. Faith-filled words also shape patience. When someone speaks with trust instead of complaint, waiting becomes less painful. Patience preserves emotional strength. Emotional strength allows consistency. Consistency keeps the person engaged long enough for unseen factors to align. Many outcomes depend on timing that cannot be controlled, but patience ensures readiness when that timing arrives. Repeatedly speaking, words of faith builds an internal environment where help feels natural rather than surprising. The person no longer feels isolated or unsupported even before circumstances change. This sense of support reduces fear-driven behavior and increases openness. Openness is essential because unseen help often requires cooperation, flexibility, and willingness to adjust direction. Words spoken in faith do not force outcomes, but they remove inner barriers. As barriers fall, movement becomes easier, thoughts become clearer, emotions steadier, and actions more aligned. In this aligned state, Assistance flows quietly through insight, timing, people, and opportunity, unfolding in ways that feel guided rather than random. Obedience and trust work together as quiet, but powerful forces that open channels for unexpected supply. Obedience is not blind compliance or loss of control. It is the willingness to act on guidance, even when the outcome is not fully visible. Trust provides the emotional foundation that makes obedience possible. Without trust, action becomes hesitant and fearful. With trust, action becomes calm and deliberate. This combination creates movement, and movement is essential for any form of supply to reach its destination. Many people desire provision, but resist obedience because they want certainty before action. However, certainty usually follows action, not precedes it. Trust allows a person to move forward with partial understanding. This forward movement signals readiness. Readiness attracts opportunity because it demonstrates capacity to handle responsibility. When a person consistently responds to inner guidance with trust, pathways begin to open in ways that cannot be predicted or planned. Obedience often begins with small, seemingly insignificant actions. These actions may not appear directly connected to financial outcomes, yet they position the person for future alignment. A small decision made in trust can lead to a conversation, a connection, or an idea that later becomes significant. When obedience is delayed or ignored, these subtle links are missed. Trust keeps the heart open to the value of small steps, recognizing that progress often unfolds through sequences rather than single events. Trust also dissolves control-based fear. Control seeks to manage every variable, but this need for control limits flexibility. Flexibility is essential because unexpected supply often arrives through unfamiliar routes. When trust replaces control, the mind becomes adaptable. Adaptability allows redirection without panic. Many breakthroughs require a change of plan rather than persistence in the original one. Trust makes this adjustment possible without emotional collapse. Obedience strengthens inner clarity. Each time a person acts on guidance, confidence in that guidance increases. This confidence sharpens discernment. Over time, the person becomes more skilled at recognizing what feels aligned and what feels forced. This discernment protects against impulsive or fear-driven decisions that can block progress. Clear discernment ensures that actions support long-term stability rather than short-term relief. Trust also reshapes patience. When trust is present, waiting does not feel like stagnation. It feels purposeful. Purposeful waiting maintains emotional balance. Emotional balance preserves energy. Preserved energy allows consistent effort over time. Many forms of provision require sustained engagement, and trust prevents burnout by removing constant anxiety about outcomes. Obedience creates integrity between belief and action. When belief remains theoretical and is not expressed through action, inner conflict develops. This conflict weakens confidence and increases doubt. Acting in obedience resolves this conflict. Alignment between belief and behavior strengthens identity. A strong identity influences how others respond and how opportunities are approached. People sense coherence and reliability, and these qualities attract collaboration and support. Unexpected supply often requires cooperation beyond personal effort. It may involve people, timing, or resources aligning unexpectedly. Trust keeps the heart receptive to assistance without suspicion or fear. Some people unconsciously reject help because it does not arrive in the form they expected. Trust allows help to be received without overanalyzing its source. Obedience ensures that when help appears, it is acted upon rather than delayed. Over time, trust transforms uncertainty into confidence. Confidence does not mean knowing every step. It means believing that each step will be revealed when needed. This belief reduces anxiety and increases presence. Presence improves awareness. Awareness allows recognition of opportunities as they arise. What appears unexpected is often simply what was finally noticed. Obedience and trust do not guarantee ease, but they guarantee movement. Movement keeps channels open. Open channels allow supply to flow in forms that cannot be forced or predicted. When trust guides action and obedience follows insight, provision finds its way through timing, people, and circumstance, arriving not as strain, but as confirmation. That alignment has been established.